Hello and welcome to this new walkthrough. In this lesson we are going to test our system. So go and open your Red2 projects folder and open the remoting desktop solution. First thing we do is to copy out the client as well as the server and put them on the desktop. So first we create two folders on the desktop. First one we call it server, and then we create another folder on the desktop and we call it client, and then we go to the client folder project, open the bin debug folder and copy out two files, the remoting client and the remoting interface.dll. Copy them into your new client folder on the desktop. Then we open the other project folder, which is the remoting server. Open the bin debug folder and copy out two files, the remoting server exe and the remoting interface dll. Copy them into your newly created folder on the desktop called server. As you will have noticed, the DLL file is automatically put into the same folder as the exe file. That is because of the references which we added for each of those projects. In those projects we added the reference to the remoting interface. So that is why when you build the exe files, the remoting interface DLL is automatically copied into the same folder as the exe. That makes it easy for us. So if you are going to deploy this to the test real environment, you need to include the DLL file for each of those exe. So now let us try to test this. We will start the remoting server. So we run it first, and then now it's invisible, you don't see it, but you can try to open a command prompt and test it out to see if it's open, if it's listening. So type in the netstat command, netstat space dash dan, hit enter and look for the port 7777, and you can see that it is open and in the listening state. That means our server is waiting for connection. Now we go to the client and click on the remoting client. Double click on it, and this is our client command and control client. So over here, now we can test it out. We click on the hello button and the server replies with hi there Paul. We click on the bye button and the server replies with goodbye. We click on the picture button and the server replies with a screenshot of the desktop. Now notice that this is not zoomed, so there is some improvement we can make to it. So let us try to improve on it so that we get a zoom desktop. So we close everything, open our Visual Studio 2022 again, and then open the remoting desktop solution. So click on the remoting client project. If you don't see the form 1 for remoting client, you can double click on this form 1 and it will show you here. Now inside this form 1 there is a picture box. So let's click on the picture box. We are going to set this property to zoom. So go to the properties icon, click on it, and then scroll down and look for size mode. And inside it, expand and select zoom. And then come to the build tab here and click rebuild remoting client. You can see rebuild all has started. And finally, it says rebuild all succeeded. So let's head over to the projects folder, Red Projects 2, and open the remoting desktop solution. Open the remoting client folder, open the bin and debug folder, and copy out the new exe file from here and put it in our client folder to overwrite the first one. So our server should still be running. We can test it. So we type CLS to clear the screen, and we use the up arrow key to recall the netstat command, and we hit enter. Scroll up and check for 7777. As you can see, our server is still up and listening. So we can test our new client. Just double click on it, click on picture, and you can now see that it is zoomed to fit the picture box. So let us now examine what is happening. When we click on the hello button, it will trigger the right click to view the code. It will trigger the button 1 click event handler. It will then call the hello method on the server, and it does that by going through the interface, the desktop interface. The desktop interface is the remoting interface here, which has got this file which advertises the hello method. So it is through this that the client can communicate and call the function directly, which is on the server. So when the server receives this function, the server also receives it through the desktop interface. And the desktop, the server will then call the function hello method and retrieve the name. Now notice that when the client calls the button, hello button, it also passes a string. Now this string is my name, Paul. So when the server receives the string, it will receive it here, Paul. It will take the name Paul and concatenate it to another string called hi there. So in the end, you get a new string, hi there Paul, and it will return it. So when it returns it, when the client receives it back, it will then convert it to string and assign the string to the text property of textbox1. So text property of textbox1 is this one. So if you click this, you should see hi there Paul. Same thing for buy and pictures. So when you click on buy, it will trigger the event handler, button 2 event handler. So it will then call the goodbye method, which is on the server, through the desktop interface. But it does not pass any parameters, it just calls it. So when it calls it, the server will respond here. It will return with a goodbye string. So when the goodbye string comes back to the client will then convert the bye string into a string, and it does this to ensure that it is a string. And then it will assign the bye string to the text property of textbox1. So that is why when you click buy, you get the goodbye string. When the client clicks on the picture button, it will trigger the button 3 event handler. It will then call this getBitmap function, which is on the server, using the desktop interface. And then when the server receives this over here, it will then capture the desktop and save it into a memory stream, and then return the memory stream. So when the client gets back the memory stream, it will save it here, and then create a bitmap out of the memory stream. And then it will take the bitmap and assign it to the image property of picturebox1. That is why when you click on this, you get this bitmap being assigned to the image property of picturebox1, and that's what you're seeing here. So at this point in time, our server is still running. If we close our client, our server will still be running. So you can confirm that by clearing the screen and repeating the nested command. You should be able to see port 7777 still opening and listening. So how do we kill it? We can use Task Manager. Right click on the taskbar at the bottom, open Task Manager. And in here, you look for remoting server, and then you can click on it and click on the end task button, and remoting server will have been killed. And now if you repeat the nested command, scroll up, you should see that port 7777 is no longer listening. So that's how you kill the server. In future improvements, we are going to write a shutdown command just like we did before, where the client can shut down the server process. So this concludes our this section of this course on direct connection remote desktop capture using .NET remoting. Now remember, in this architecture, we are using the... Now remember, in this section of the course, we are implementing number 2, and now we have successfully done it. So in this architecture, just to remind you, our server is the one residing on the computer, on the victim's machine. It is the rat itself, and our client is the attacker machine. So in this project, our client is the command and control client. So that concludes our part solution number 2. In the next section, we are going to do the reverse connection. So in the reverse connection, the server will be residing on the attacker computer, and it will be known as the command and control server. And the client will be residing on the victim's computer, known as the client rat. And the client rat will initiate the connection to the attacker machine. That is why it will be called reverse connection. So I'll see you in the next session. Thank you for watching.